A massive crack in the ground that's estimated to be up to 50 feet deep has opened up in Kenya seemingly overnight.
Colossal canyons formed by powerful earthquakes, these huge cracks are a testament to the Earth's power.
For centuries, the Euphrates River has been linked to warnings written long before modern science existed. Now, something has broken open beneath its depths. A violent rupture has exposed a chamber never meant to be seen, sealed, guarded, and spoken of only in forbidden texts. Inside, warnings carved in multiple languages, chains no human civilization could forge, and signs that something once imprisoned is no longer there. Since that moment, the Earth has begun to tremble. Sightings have increased, and fear has spread across borders. Before we continue, please like, comment, and subscribe, because what you are about to hear may be the clearest sign yet that Jesus is returning soon. Once one of the most powerful rivers of the ancient world, the Euphrates has sustained civilizations for over 6,000 years. It watered the fields of Sumer, Babylon, and Assyria. It flowed past cities named in Scripture, carrying with it both life and judgment. In the Bible, the Euphrates is not just a river, it is a boundary, a witness, and a prophetic marker. Revelation speaks of it drying in the last days, preparing the stage for events that follow. Now, satellite data, and on the ground, reports confirmed what locals had been whispering. Large sections of the river were retreating rapidly, exposing cracked riverbeds, sunken ruins, and land unseen for generations. Villagers along the banks described water levels dropping unnaturally fast, not consistent with seasonal drought or dam activity alone. Ancient stone foundations and carved walls emerged from the mud, while animals refused to approach certain exposed sections. Scientists offered explanations involving climate pressure and upstream controls, yet none could account for the sudden sinkholes forming beneath the river itself. The Euphrates, long restrained, seemed to be withdrawing, as if revealing something it had concealed. Then, at 2:17 a.m., without warning, the ground convulsed. A violent 6.8 deep-focus earthquake struck the Iraq-Turkey border, originating far below any known active fault system. Seismologists were immediately alarmed. The region does not possess the tectonic structure necessary to produce such a rupture at that depth. The seismic signature was sharp, concentrated, and directional, as if force had moved upward from beneath the crust, rather than plates grinding past one another. Sensors across the Middle East detected an abnormal low-frequency resonance following the quake, something closer to a sustained vibration than a natural aftershock. When satellite scans arrived hours later, the data defied conventional geology. Instead of a chaotic fracture pattern, analysts identified a perfectly linear rupture stretching nearly 60 miles underground. Straight, continuous, symmetrical. Several geologists privately admitted the formation resembled engineered excavation more than seismic damage. Even more unsettling, the rupture ran directly beneath sections of the Euphrates basin, the very areas where the river had recently receded the most. Thermal imaging added another layer of mystery. Deep within the fault line, satellites detected geometric heat signatures, rectangular clusters emitting uniform warmth, spaced with precise intervals. No known natural process creates heat in such ordered formations. Military analysts confirmed the structures were not modern infrastructure. Whatever they were, they appeared ancient, far older than any recorded construction. As images leaked online, passages from Revelation began circulating rapidly, especially references to things hidden beneath the earth. Governments moved quickly to contain the situation. Iraq and Turkey disputed jurisdiction. Military patrols sealed off the rupture zone. Drones circled overhead, and along the fault, strange openings appeared smooth. Dark entrances leading into chambers untouched for millennia, now exposed for the first time. The drying of the Euphrates was only the beginning. The earth itself had begun to open. When the first exploration team descended through one of the newly exposed openings, they immediately realized this was not a natural cave. The entrance itself was carved with unnatural mathematical precision, edges perfectly smooth, angles exact, curves repeating in ratios that modern engineers recognized as advanced geometric sequences. There were no tool marks, no fractures, no signs of erosion. It looked less like stone shaped by time and more like matter arranged by design. Several researchers quietly admitted the entrance resembled a constructed threshold rather than a collapsed cavern. Inside, the walls revealed something far more disturbing. Etched into the stone was a descending sequence of symbols, arranged vertically, each layer slightly altered from the one above it. Linguists noted the structure resembled a countdown, not numerical in the modern sense, but symbolic, progressing toward a final point at the chamber floor. The deeper the team moved, the fewer symbols appeared, as if time itself were being measured downward. No known ancient culture is documented to have used such a system. Then came the warnings. Across multiple wall sections, the same message appeared again and again. 17 different languages, all conveying the identical meaning: do not unseal. Bound here until the appointed time. Some languages were ancient and partially lost. Others predated known writing systems altogether. What unsettled experts most was the consistency. The phrasing did not evolve across eras. It was exact, as if copied from a single source over immense spans of time. This suggested coordination, possibly instruction rather than organic cultural development. As the team progressed deeper, the environment itself began to change. Temperatures dropped sharply, far faster than expected at that depth. Instruments recorded air compositions inconsistent with any known cave system. Oxygen levels fluctuated, trace elements appeared that should not exist naturally, and some sensors failed entirely. Several team members reported pressure in their ears and an overwhelming sense of unease, despite no visible threat. Then the vibrations began. Beneath the chamber floor, a deep, rhythmic pulsing could be felt through the boots of the researchers. It was not random. It followed a steady interval, slow, deliberate, almost like a heartbeat. Seismic equipment confirmed the vibrations were originating from below the explored level, deeper than the team was authorized to descend. No tectonic movement was recorded at the time. Whatever caused the motion was localized and active. After hours of analysis, the conclusion became unavoidable. Early humans could not have engineered this site. The precision, the materials, the linguistic coordination, and the environmental anomalies exceeded the capabilities of any known ancient civilization. This was not a temple, not a tomb, not a mine. It was a sealed chamber built to contain, not to honor, and according to the evidence etched into its walls, it was never meant to be opened. Stay with us, because what lies deeper beneath this chamber changes everything that comes next. At the center of the sealed chamber, investigators encountered an arrangement that defied every known category of ancient construction. 4 massive restraints, positioned precisely along the cardinal axes, north, south, east, and west. The symmetry was exact. The spacing was deliberate. This was not decorative placement, nor structural support. The layout suggested containment, as if whatever had once occupied the space was meant to be held in perfect balance, unable to shift or converge. The chains themselves immediately drew alarm from metallurgists. Each restraint was composed of links far larger than anything practical for human use, yet each link appeared seamless, formed as a single, continuous unit rather than forged and welded. Under magnification, there were no joints, no fractures, no layering, just uniform density throughout. This alone posed a problem. To create metal in this form would require sustained temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Celsius, far beyond the capabilities of ancient furnaces, kilns, or any known pre-industrial technology. Chemical analysis deepened the mystery. The alloy did not match bronze, iron, steel, or any transitional metal known from antiquity. Trace elements were present in ratios that should not naturally occur, bonded at a molecular level that suggested controlled, intentional manipulation. Several experts privately admitted that even modern industry would struggle to reproduce the material without advanced containment systems. More unsettling still was the temperature of the chains. Despite the surrounding chamber being unnaturally cold, the metal radiated warmth, not residual heat, but active thermal emission, steady and localized, as if the chains had recently been under strain. Instruments detected subtle fluctuations, implying energy transfer rather than simple heat retention. This raised an unspoken question among the team. What had been bound here, and how recently had it been present? The stone anchors told a similar story. Each chain was secured into the bedrock, with massive sockets carved deep into the chamber floor. Yet several of these anchors were fractured outward, not collapsed inward. The stone had split under force applied from within the restraint radius, suggesting intense pulling, sustained and directional. The damage pattern indicated strength far beyond human capacity, even with mechanical assistance. As documentation continued, scholars could not ignore the parallels emerging from ancient texts. Revelation 9 describes 4 beings bound, restrained, and held until a specific appointed time associated with the Euphrates region. The number, the placement, the condition of the restraints all aligned too closely to dismiss as coincidence. These chains were not symbolic. They were functional. They were engineered to hold something powerful, and now they were empty. As investigators expanded their survey beyond the central restraints, they noticed something subtle at first: disturbances in the fine dust coating the chamber floor. The dust itself was ancient, undisturbed for an immeasurable span of time, layered evenly like sediment frozen in silence. But cutting through it were 4 distinct trails of footprints, moving away from the chains and toward separate exits in the chamber walls. Each set followed a different direction, as if whatever had been held there departed deliberately, not in panic. The image echoed an ancient warning from Scripture: "Loose the 4 angels which are bound," words written long before modern science had language for what now lay before them. The footprints were unlike anything attributed to humans. Each measured approximately 15 inches in length, far larger than an average adult foot, yet proportionally narrow and elongated. The impression depth was extreme. Using pressure distribution analysis, scientists estimated that each being would have weighed between 400 and 500 pounds. Yet the stride patterns showed no sign of imbalance or strain. Whatever made these tracks moved with control, familiarity, and strength, comfortably bearing its own mass. The description unsettlingly aligned with biblical accounts of beings mighty in power, not bound by human limitation. More disturbing was the condition of the dust itself. Around the footprints, particles were partially fused at the edges, as if exposed to brief heat or energy displacement during movement. This ruled out recent human interference. The impressions were not fresh in a conventional sense, but they were newer than the chain's last state of tension. In simple terms, the tracks appeared after the restraints failed. Revelation 9:15 speaks of beings prepared for the hour and day and month and year, released not by chance, but by timing. Within days of these findings, reports began emerging from border towns near the rupture zone. Residents described tall, shadow-like figures seen moving at night, often at the edge of vision, never fully illuminated.